page 1066, page 1067, page 1068, page 1069, page 1070, page 1071, page 1072, page 1073, page 1074, page 1075, page 1076, page 1077, page 1078, page 1079, page 1080, page 1081, page 1082, page 1083, page 1084, page 1085, page 1086, page 1087, page 1088, page 1089, page 1090, page 1091, page 1092, page 1093, page 1094, page 1095, page 1096, page 1097, page 1098, page 1099, page 10, page 1100, page 1101, page 1102, page 1103, page 1104, page 1105, page 1106, page 1107, page 1108, page 1109, page 1110, page 1111, page 1112, page 1113, page 1114, page 1115, page 1116, page 1117, page 1118. Distinguished Senator Bima Mohamed Enagi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Bima Mohamed Enagi. I represent the people of Niger South from Niger State. I rise to move that the votes and proceedings on Wednesday, 9th December 2020 be adopted and approved. I so move.
Senator Edi Young.
Thank you, distinguished President, distinguished colleagues. I rise to second the motion that the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 9th December 2020 be adopted and approved. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 9th December 2020 be approved, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 9th December 2020 is hereby approved. Today, the 10th of December, is the birthday of the leader of the Senate, Senator Abdullahi Yahya Abubakar. On behalf of this very distinguished Senate, we wish our distinguished leader a very happy birthday, long life, prosperity, and many more years of service to Kebbi State and indeed the fatherland. Congratulations, leader. Petitions. Leader of the Senate.
Order, Mr. President.
Point of order, distinguished Senator Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja, the senator representing Jigawa Northeast in the Ninth Assembly. I come under Order 42 and 52, Mr. President. And with
You may read.
the matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. And Order 52 says notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceeding for which notice is required, except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of the senators present.
Give us the synopsis of what you want to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. The synopsis is a motion urging the Senate to appeal for the reversal or suspension of the presidential directive on the removal of the Tanasuru Mohammed Ladan Argungu as the Director General of the National Directorate for Employment.
Okay, because you have come under Orders 42 and 52, I will have to put the question and get the endorsement of at least 1/5 of senators present. So, distinguished colleagues, we have heard the synopsis of his motion. He wants the approval of the Senate to move the motion, and the question will be, those in favor of his request, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Move your motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Once again, Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja, Jigawa Northeast. The Senate notes with concern reports on the removal of Dr. Tanasuru Mohammed Ladan Argungu as the DG National Directorate for Employment, attributed to a press statement of 8 December 2020, issued by the Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Malan Garba Shehu, which indicates that the presidential directive on the removal of Dr. Argungu as the DG NDE on Friday, December 4, 2020, took effect from Monday, December 7, 2020. The Senate notes further, the controversies surrounding the removal of Dr. Ladan Argungu as the Director General of the National Directorate for Employment, since the news of his removal began trending on the print and electronic media. The Senate observes that while it is within the powers of the President, as the custodian of the executive powers of the federal government, to appoint and remove such caliber of appointees, the presidential directive on the removal of Dr. Argungu as the DG NDE gave room for speculations in many quarters that some unpatriotic people are scheming to undermine and disrupt the implementation of the laudable federal government special works program. This is also capable of creating needless and avoidable leadership crisis at the NDE at this critical time that the federal government intends to leverage on that institution to address the issues of unemployment and youth empowerment in the country. The Senate observes further that it is in the overriding public interest to reconsider and rescind the said presidential directive on the removal of Dr. Ladan Argungu as the DG NDE to ensure leadership stability at the agency for smooth implementation of job creation. Consider and rescind the presidential directive, the federal government special works program aimed at benefiting our youths, many of whom are unemployed and remain restless in the streets nationwide. The Senate accordingly resolves to 1. Urge President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, to kindly reconsider and rescind his directive on the removal of Dr. Tanasuru Ladan Mohammed Argungu as the Director General of the National Directorate for Employment in the overriding national public interest. 2. Urge Mr. President to direct an investigation into the causes of the frosty relationship between Dr. Tanasuru Ladan Argungu and his supervisory minister, the Minister of State for Labor and Employment, and the impact of such frosty relationship on the implementation of the federal government special works program. And 3. Urge Mr. President to further direct that the Honorable Minister of State, Labor and Employment suspend or put on hold the appointment of an acting DG at the NDE pending the aforesaid investigation. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator Kabir Barkia.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I rise to support the motion moved by Senator Ibrahim Hassan, and not only support, and also urge Mr. President and distinguished colleagues to see that, yes, the prayers are being implemented. Because, of course, as read in the motion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, all of this, what we have the problem in this country, continuity. For example, now we have this very, very important program, as stated, this 774. And now somebody who, of course, maybe for the last 3 or 4 years, he was not in the organization, now being brought to come and say, okay, let him continue the program. So look at the communication gap. And that's, for example, now, maybe before he sat down, settle and then know about this program, it will be another 2-3 months. So there's no need, Mr. President, for the federal government to start just maybe following what some, individuals, they are selfish individuals, at least just to satisfy their interest. Because this definitely would bring a problem. The person now brought to act, of course, maybe I learned he was stabbed before, maybe in one of the states. And he has been cut away from the headquarters for almost 4 or 5 years. So how could that person now come and sit down and even know what is there and then continue implement? So, Mr. President, definitely we have to do something on this motion so that at least maybe if the rebuttal is taken place, and then later the executive bring all the 2 parties, both the ND director and also the supervising minister, and sit down and look at what is the possible solution. So not just maybe take unilateral action and say, okay, the MD should be suspended, and then somebody who don't know even program come abroad and then continue. So, Mr. President, I really second this motion, and also I pray that, yes, my distinguished colleagues will support it, and then we make sure that it's being implemented. Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues.
Senator Rochas Anayo Okorocha.
Mr. President, Owele Anayo Rochas Okorocha, Imo West. I rise to speak because of the moment and situation we find ourselves. There's a kind of tense atmosphere in our nation, and our nation is going through a very difficult moment. Our economy is having some challenges, our political life is having challenges, and the Senate, National Assembly, remains the pivot upon which the wheel of peace of this nation can rotate. Because in this place, we represent the various communities, various states, and our constituencies. Of recent, there has been an invitation by the House of Reps asking Mr. President to come. And that invitation is still hanging. Now, the filing of the ND is another issue in the front burners. But where elders are, ghosts do not commit any suicide. So we have to think of an approach of adopting peace and not necessarily going on the full right or left of what is right or what is wrong. But I see this as a little challenging moment that we must apply wisdom in handling the situation. Anything outside that will result to an ego. And when ego comes in, then the war and fight is inevitable. I want to rather request our colleagues and make an appeal that in the face of what is happening, may we adopt the non-formal method of resolving these issues for the sake of this nation, and to see that we face our economic challenges and the political challenges rather than to create a rift between any one arm of government and the other. So I appeal that we should, rather than going the formal way, let us set up a small committee again as usual and toe the path of peace and make peace where possible. So that at the end of it, there will be no victor, no vanquished. Both in what is happening at the Senate and what is happening at the Federal House. Provocation can occur anytime. And when provocation comes, utterances that will come out of faith might be unguided. So wisdom calls that elders at this point should sit down and see how we can resolve amicably the issues, not for the sake of anybody. And it's not a demonstration of fear or weakness, but rather to save the life of this nation and for our children yet unborn. I so submit.
Well, thank you very much, distinguished colleagues, for the contributions. Let me say that the motion, my understanding of this motion is essentially to make the point that the Senate and indeed the National Assembly is in full support of this social, the public works program. The recruitment of 1,000 people or our youth in each local government, and that gives 774,000 slots across the country. We are in total support and will continue to do so. We relate with people all the time, and we know the need and the imperative of such a program. This administration is doing well with so many social intervention programs, and therefore we continue to support such programs. I think the problem is the dislocation, if I may use the word, that the sacking of the DG would cause. The NDE successfully implemented a pilot program in 6 states very successfully under the leadership of the DG. And if there are rifts between the DG and his ministers, I think we should look at the benefits of getting this program implemented and resolve the issues that may be characterizing the relationship. Here, I believe that the prayer, or one of the prayers, of ensuring that they work together is very, very fundamental. And like Senator Rochas mentioned, the Senate is always trying to provide calm and understanding. We are very mindful of the importance of having a very stable environment for the implementation of the various government programs. So we are in total support of the program. We want the leadership of NDE to continue with this program. We commit ourselves into ensuring that the program succeeds. What I think the fear expressed in the motion is that this program could be derailed, could be delayed, and therefore maybe we need to have a reconciliation between the ministry and the leadership of the NDE. Personally, I know how committed the DG is to this, but it looks like there is a problem. And no problem should override the national interest. No problem. I believe that this is the essence of this motion. So I will go into the prayers. Prayer 1, urge Mr. President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR, to reconsider and rescind his directive on the removal of Dr. Nasiru Ladan Muhammad Argungu as the Director General of the National Directorate of Employment in the overriding national public interest. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prior to, urge Mr. President to direct an investigation into the causes of the frosty relationship between Dr. Nasser Ladan Argungu and the supervisory minister, the Minister of State for Labor and Employment, and the impact of such frosty relationship on the implementation of the federal government special works program. I think, is that the way you want it?
Yes, Mr. President, is to go, cause an investigation so that we can unravel the root of the problem, and maybe if we find a solution, that will create an insight into why this program has already been delayed for almost 4 months, Mr. President. All we want is to ensure that we have a situation where it starts. So people are aware that it was about to start about 4 months ago. It is a 3-month program, so by now it should have even been concluded. But because of this back and forth, Mr. President, these youths are still waiting. List upon list is coming out, and there's a lot of confusion. So I think the investigation will resolve that, Mr. President.
Senator Brown.
Yes, Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, there is need to know what is happening between the DG and the Minister of State, because that will give us an insight into what actually happened before the dismissal of this guy. I think.
Okay. So those in favor of prior 2 say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. And prior 3, urge Mr. President to further direct the Honourable Minister of State, Labour and Employment to suspend or put on hold appointment of acting DG NDE pending the aforesaid investigation. Is it the Minister of State that is doing the appointment or the ministry?
Yes, Mr. President, according to the Special Advisor on Media's statement, he has been directed to choose from the existing DGs, any one of them to be substituting DGs in that place.
Okay. So, Deputy Chief Whip.
Yes, I think, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the directive given is a standard procedure. When you remove a substantive person, the next senior most or among those who are competent to hold that office are chosen. I think there is no need for us to temper with that, because that organization cannot be left in a vacuum.
The leader.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, there is a bit of a difference in this particular case, because the communication that came out conveying the removal also gave authority to the Minister of State to look for a replacement from among the directors in the NDE to act. No, it was said the Minister of State should look into the institution itself and find among the directors the most senior in order to ask him to act, to act on the the replacement of the senior director. It came out very clearly with that. So the motion is the prayer is in order, sir.
My concern here is, here you have a suspended or sacked DG, and then there is no one to act. I think the NDE will be leaderless, because before the sacking, we are requesting, the Senate is requesting that Mr. President reconsiders the sacking. Okay, meanwhile, there is no DG. So if we say we should ask Mr. President to put on hold, or the minister to put on hold, Mr. President to put on hold the appointment of someone in acting capacity, there will be no DG, no someone to lead the organization before the action of addressing the issue is taken. Am I communicating? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ifeanyiba, Anambra South Central District. Mr. President, the sacking of the DG is a very sad one for Nigeria.
No, we have a prayer here. Distinguished. We are considering prayers, we have taken the motion already. We are just considering the prayers.
following the line of Mr. President's directive.
Okay.
The person that was appointed in the order of seniority, I have the list of the order of seniority. The person that appointed was someone who happens to have issues with this DG that was fired and was.
No, I think that is not our focus. Leader, do you have an idea of what exactly the directive to the Minister of State for the appointments? Yeah, Senator Brian Shekaron.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I think, Mr. President, is quite a normal, simple procedure in the bureaucracy to ask the ministry to request an officer within the agency to act pending the appointment of a substantive leader of the agency. I think, Mr. President, the way you observed is quite correct. We cannot ask the government to also suspend the appointment of an acting head because the agency will be a headless place. So I think it's quite normal, regardless of the way the release came. The fact remains, Mr. President, that the ministry, the supervising ministry, or the president himself has the right to ask someone to act in that capacity. And it doesn't have to necessarily be the most senior. The ministry has the right to ask someone to act pending the appointment of a substantive head. So I think, Mr. President, this prayer I cannot hold. Otherwise, we'll be creating a vacuum. It wouldn't make any meaning, actually. Somebody has to act. And it's not within our, or rather, it's not appropriate for us to say no one should act, or the person appointed to act is not appropriate. The ministry, by the normal procedure of the bureaucracy, has to ask somebody to act, Mr. President.
Thank you. Senator Ibrahim Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the face of superior argument, and looking at the fact that if Mr. President kindly accedes to prayer number 1, maybe prayer number 3 will be superfluous. I kindly make the motion that it should be stepped down, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have taken 2 prayers. And let me thank our distinguished colleagues for their various contributions on this. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of an executive bill standing in my name on the Proceedings of Crime Recovery and Management Bill 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Proceeds of Crime Recovery and Management Bill 2020, SB 553, first reading.
Proceeds of Crimes Recovery and Management Bill 2020, SB 553, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of our bill saying in the name of distinguished Senator Sunday Ojang Ono on the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Act, Cap E1, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, Amendment Bill 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Act Cap E1, LFN 2004, Amendment Bill 2020, SB 519, first reading.
Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Act Cap E1, LFN 2004, Amendment Bill 2020, SB 519, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Obasani on the Police Service Commission Act 2001, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Police Service Commission Act 2001, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2020, SB 590 for first reading.
Police Service Commission Act 2001, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2020, SB 590 for first reading. Taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Deji Eremie Yobio Barakuma on the National Mangrove Management Commission Establishment Bill 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Mangrove Management Commission Establishment Bill 2020, SB 601, first reading.
National Mangrove Management Commission Establishment Bill 2020, SB 601, first reading. Taken. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of our bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Stella Adaeze Odua on the Patent and Design Act Cap P2 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Patent and Design Act Cap P2 LFN 2004 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2020, SB 602, first reading.
Patent and Design Act Cap P2 LFN 2004 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2020, SB 602, first reading. Taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as Managing Director and Executive Directors of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, in accordance with Section 10, Subsection 1 of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON Act 2010. They are as follows. 1. Mr. Ahmed Kuru, Managing Director. 2. Mr. Ebere Chukwu Oneze, Executive Director. 3. Mr. Aminu Ismail, Executive Director. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the purpose of this motion is for the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Senator I.D. Gyang, standing in for Minority Leader. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion as moved by the leader.
What did he move? Minority Leader. Oh, it's okay. It's all right. Leader, are we deferring the consideration of this report? Or is someone presenting it? Because the chairman is not here. So we stand down the consideration, right?
Mr. President, in the absence of the chairman of the committee who would be presenting this report.
Okay. It's okay, Leader. It's a referral. It's a referral. Yes. Colleagues? No, it's supposed to be banking. Those in favor of the motion that the Senate do refer the request of Mr. President C&C for further legislative action, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President C&C is hereby referred to the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions to report back within 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as Managing Director and Executive Director in the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, in accordance with Section 5, Subsection 4 of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NIDC Act 2010. They are as follows. Number 1, Mr. Bello Hassan, Managing Director. Number 2, Mustafa Muhammad Ibrahim, Executive Director. Mr. President, distinguished senators, for the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action.
The new minority leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion as moved by the Senate leader. I so say.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion by the leader that the Senate refers to the appropriate committee, the request of Mr. President CNC for further legislative action, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President CNC is hereby referred to the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and other financial institutions to report back within 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is a motion standing in my name on the rescission of some clauses and committal of Public Procurement Act 2007 amendment to the Committee of the Whole. Mr. President, with your permission, I wish to move the motion.
You may proceed.
The Senate records that the Public Procurement Act 2007 Amendment Bill 2020 was passed by the Senate and the House of Representatives and was transmitted to the Clerk of the National Assembly for onward transmission to the President, Commander-in-Chief for assent. Senate observes that after critical examination of the bill, the Directorate of Legal Services of the National Assembly observed that some fundamental issues still require fresh legislative action on the following sections. They are as follows. Number 1, Section 17. Number 2, Section 20. Number 3, Section 32. The Senate is aware that a technical committee of the Senate, House of Representatives, and Directorate of Legal Services met and worked out on these clauses. And relying on Order 1B of the Senate Standing Order, Senate resolves to rescind its decision on the affected sections of the bill as passed for recommittal of the same to the Committee of the Whole for reconsideration and passage. I so move, Mr. President.
Is this a reconciled or harmonized position of both the House and the Senate? Okay. So have you moved for Committee of the Whole? Have you moved the motion? Okay, Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that this bill be referred to the Committee of the Whole for consideration.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. distinguished colleagues, we have just some few selected clauses, and I will put the question on each of them. So, distinguished colleagues, those in favor that Section 17 stands part of the bill, say aye. Yes. Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the mic is on. If you look at item number 3, 17A123, the last one on the first page, in the National Assembly, then it says the Parastatals Tenders Board and the National Assembly Tenders Board. The rendition here, it doesn't follow, Mr. President, Chairman. If you look at
we are looking at the recommendations of the committee, which is on column Volume 3, is it? Yeah. Volume 3. There is what? Okay, what is the mix-up?
If you look at that item 3, provisions of the bill, page 1, first page. It says in the National Assembly, it is listing the institutions. In the National Assembly, the Parastatals Tenders Board and the National Assembly Tenders Board. I think there's a mix-up there. Because I don't know how parastatals came in without first being listed as.
The word parastatal is what you are talking about. I think we will reach there, and the parastatal he is referring to NILS, National Assembly Service Commission, National Assembly Public Complaints Commission. These are the agencies under the National Assembly. Is that okay? All right. Okay.
I think, Mr. President, distinguished Mr. Chairman, in actual sense, I think based on the discussions, it is obvious that perhaps when we get to section 22, where the listing is made, the intendment here is to retain just one parastatal tenders board, given the size. So I think based on this observation, this particular provision in the committee of the whole recommend, if it's retained, must be amended to read in the National Assembly, it will be the National Assembly Tenders Board. Yes, so that the Parastatal Tenders Board will not be deleted. So that will now make the correction again when we get to the details. Yeah.
Those in favor that section B be retained as amended, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Secretary, take note, please. There is an amendment. Those in favor that section 20 on page 3 do stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We're on page 4. Those in favor that section 22 the main part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And the last page, I think there is need to amend 22(1) sub 1.
2(1). Because for the National Assembly, it is taken that the CNA remains the chief accounting officer. And so within that context, if you look at the provision of 2(1) and then you go to 2(2), the intendment here is not to make it look like in the executive arm, but to reflect the reality in the National Assembly. That is, the accounting officers of the parastatal under the National Assembly shall chair the parastatal standard board. So since we have made the amendment there, this is no longer necessary. So we need to take it out and to say the clerk to the National Assembly shall chair the National Assembly Tenders Board, which is what we have earlier. So we need to remove that. Yes.
The amendment he proposed there. Chairman, this is your document. Are you okay with what he suggested? Okay. Those in favor that section 22 stands part of the bill as amended, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
I like to move a motion for the chair to report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I second the motion that the resume to plenary to report progress. I so second.
Those in favor that the chair reports progress, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the Public Procurement Act 2007 Amendment Bill 2020 and approved as follows. Clause amendment of Section 17 as amended, amendment of Section 20 as recommended, amendment of Section 22 as amended. Is this the true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished.
Third reading. Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion for the third reading of this bill.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the bill be now read the third time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the National Council on Public Procurement and the Bureau of Public Procurement establishment to review mobilization fee paid to contractors, institute a e-procurement and to provide time frame for the procurement processes, etc. Act number 14, 2007, and for related matters 2020, third reading.
A bill for an act to amend the National Council on Public Procurement and the Bureau of Public Procurement establishment to review mobilization fee paid to contractors, institute e-procurement and to provide time frame for the procurement processes, etc. Act number 14 of 2007, and for related matters 2020, third reading taken, and the bill is passed. Leader of the Senate.
You, Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is a motion standing in the name of our Deputy Senate President, distinguished Senator Ovi Omo Agege, on the approval to restore the suppressed Abraka State constituency in each local government area, Delta State, in compliance with the declarations and orders of court and Section 115 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is amended. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Ovi Omo Agege to move his motion.
The DSP.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ovi Omo Agege, Delta Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, this motion is brought to seek the approval of the Senate to restore the suppressed Abraka State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area from the present Ethiopia East constituency in Ethiopia East local government area of Delta State in compliance with declarations and orders of court and Section 115 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended. Mr. President, the Senate records that prior to 1999, Abraka State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area of Delta State was a separate and distinct state constituency with an elected member in the Delta State House of Assembly. The Senate further records, Mr. President, that as at 1992-1993, the highly populated Abraka State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area was duly represented in the Delta State House of Assembly by Honorable Emmanuel Akbo Ifeta. But the constituency was arbitrarily and unjustifiably suppressed and collapsed into the present Ethiopia East State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area of Delta State during the 1999 general elections, and it has remained so since that time, Mr. President. The Senate notes, Mr. President, that following persistent agitations by concerned leaders, electorates and stakeholders of the highly populated Abraka State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area, leading to legal contestations, the Federal High Court Warri on the 5th day of March 2015 rendered a decision in suit number Federal High Court /WR/32/2/2014 between Comrade Bayo Eyube and two others versus Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), directing INEC to restore the suppressed Abraka State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area as a distinct state constituency. Observe, Mr. President, that the Federal High Court Warri specifically made the following declarations and orders, as reflected in his judgment order, which is annexed hereto for ease of reference. Mr. President, the judgment is been distributed to every of my colleagues, Mr. President. Declarations made by the court. 1, that the Delta State House of Assembly is not properly constituted as required by Section 91 and 112 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. 2, that having regard to the provisions of Sections 91 and 112 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, the defendant acted unlawfully, improperly, unfairly, and unjustly in suppressing the Abraka State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area of Delta State as it did in the general elections of 1999, 2003, 2007, and 2011. Orders made by the court. 1, that an order be and is hereby made directing the defendant, INEC, to comply with the provisions of Section 91 and 112 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended by restoring the suppressed Abraka State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area of Delta State to bring the composition of the Delta State House of Assembly in line with the provisions of the Constitution. 2, that an order be and is hereby made directing or compelling the defendant, INEC, to restore the suppressed Abraka State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area of Delta State. 3, that an order be made and is hereby made directing or compelling the defendant, INEC, to immediately conduct election into the Delta State House of Assembly in respect of the Abraka State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area of Delta State. And, Mr. President, the Senate further observes that INEC is yet to comply with this unambiguous decision, declarations, and consequential orders of the court made since the 5th day of March 2015. And this non-compliance, Mr. President, is concerning to the leaders, the electorate, and the stakeholders of Abraka State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area of Delta State, who have been enduring the injustice of the unjustifiable suppression of the constituency. And this itself is a threat to public confidence in our representative democracy. Mr. President, accordingly, the Senate resolves to 1, approve the immediate restoration of Abraka State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area from the present Ethiopia East State constituency in line with the decision, declarations, and orders of the Federal High Court to separate the two state constituencies as follows. A, Abraka State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area consisting of INEC's present Abraka Ward 1, Abraka Ward 2, and Abraka Ward 3. And B, the remaining part of the present Ethiopia East State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area consisting of INEC's Ward 4 of Bara Inland, Ward 5 Ogu, Ward 6 Kokori Inland, Ward 7 Urakbo, Ward 8 of Bara Waterside, Ward 9 Eku, Ward 10 Egbo Samagidi, and Ward 11 Isipuro. 3, 2, direct the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC to comply with this resolution ahead of the next general election of the members of the Delta State House of Assembly in compliance with Section 115 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended by restoring Abraka State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area from the present Ethiopia East state constituency in Ethiopia East local government area as ordered by the Federal High Court. And 3, to seek the concurrence of the House of Representatives to this resolution in line with section 115 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Mr. President, I so move.
Senator Smart Ademi, former comrade.
Your Excellency, I must thank you for recognizing our struggle over the years.
Mr. President, I rise to support this motion. In supporting this motion, Mr. President, I want to do that on the basis of the part before us. Like the lawyers will say, will be Jews, will be Remidon. Where there is a fault, Mr. President, there must be a remedy. By this judgment, it is clear, in addition to the presentation of the Deputy Senate President, that there has been a breach of the fundamental rights of the people of Abraka. And I think, Mr. President, INEC is being managed by human beings. They are subject to human errors and mistakes. And when it happens, I think INEC must be courageous enough to accept the fact that they have erred. And if they could not reverse themselves, like I'm sure it happened in quite a number of areas in this country, going to court of law is the only means at which they could reverse themselves honorably. And under your leadership, Mr. President of the Senate, you have been championing fairness, justice, and equity at all levels. And I'm not in doubt that you will throw your weight behind this motion, and the pronouncements of this hallowed chamber will go a long way to reinforce the position of a competent court of law, a federal high court of Nigeria, not a state high court. I'm not saying that state high courts are not recognized by the Constitution, but I'm only saying that this is a national issue, and I'm happy that the people of Abraka, made up of men and women of very high integrity, as personified by the Deputy Senate President sitting here, they have gone to court and they have secured the judgment of a competent court of law. I don't think we should wait much time than to make a pronouncement to INEC to do the needful by recognizing this political entity. I so submit, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues will go to the prayers. Accordingly, resolves 1. Approve the immediate restoration of Abraka State Constituency in Ethiopia East Local Government Area from the present Ethiopia East State Constituency in line with decision, declarations, and orders of the Federal High Court to separate the two state constituencies as follows. A. Abraka State Constituency in Ethiopia East Local Government Area consisting of Annex Present Abraka Ward 1, Abraka Ward 2, and Abraka Ward 3. And B. The remaining part of the present Ethiopia East State Constituency in Ethiopia East Local Government Area consisting of Annex Ward 4 of Para Inland, Ward 5 Ovu, Ward 6 Kokori Inland, Ward 7 Ohuakpa, Ward 8 Okpara Waterside, Ward 9 Eku, Ward 10 Egba Samagidi, and Ward 11 Isiokoro. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, direct the Independent National Electoral Commission to comply with this resolution ahead of the next general election and election of the members of the next Delta State House Assembly in compliance with the Section 115 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended by restoring Abraka State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area from the present Ethiopia East State constituency in Ethiopia East local government area as ordered by the Federal High Court. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. And prayer 3, seek the concurrence of the House of Representatives to this resolution in line with section 115 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Congratulations. DSP, you may leave. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the second reading of the National Sports Commission Establishment, etc. Bill 2020. Distinguished colleagues, we recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 26 November 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Obinna Ogba to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Obinna Ogba.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Obinna Ogba, Ebonyi Central. Mr. President, I rise to move that. I rise to move that this important bill for establishment of National Sports Commission. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on the general principles of this bill, which seek to establish the National Sports Commission. The bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 26 November 2019. The bill essentially seeks to establish the National Sports Commission, NSC, to be charged with the responsibility of administering, encouraging, and development of sport games throughout the country. The functions of the Commission, amongst others, include A, to encourage the development, organization, and participation in sports in Nigeria. B, to coordinate and integrate efforts to raise the standard of performance in sports throughout Nigeria. To maintain every stadium owned or controlled by the federal government and direct all activities related thereto. The Commission shall, in all international relations affecting sports, have the sole right to make, or on behalf of the Sports Council, any necessary arrangement for competitions, technical assistance, recruitment of coaches, and for any such other matters as Commission may think fit. Without prejudice to the generality of subsection 1 of this section, it shall be the duty of the Commission A, to promote, in cooperation with other sports bodies or sports groups, the physical fitness and general well-being of all persons in Nigeria, to organize or assist financially or otherwise the participation in sports at interstate, national, and international level, to train Nigerians to become sportsmen and instructors in sports, to conduct and encourage research into all matters relating to sports. E, to provide and maintain sports centers and facilities for the training of Nigerians as instructors and organizers of sports, to ensure the participation of all sportsmen and women where required in interstate, national, or international competitions. This bill seeks to change Nigerian sports to bring them in line with international best practice, especially in areas of sports administration, global competitions, as well as welfare of footballers and athletes generally. There is no gainsaying the fact that Nigerian sports is generally in hostile state right now. Not too long ago, Nigerian literally great sports experts from athletics, boxing, football, to tennis, long tennis, and Greco-Roman wrestling. Nigeria has suffered greatly from disconnect that has existed between our sports history and our current performance. We need to reorganize the fact that our history was created for a reason, and that the base of our future truly lies on how we are able to manage historical events and pass it on from one generation to the other. In sports process, discovery, development, maintenance, competitions, and retention are areas that can be so simplified by design and implementation, but you must understand and know how to work it. Every stage requires the right team, combination of coaches, administrators, sports medicine, trainers, sports psychologists, volunteers, supporters, and of course, reliable source for sponsorship in cohesiveness with one goal in mind. This is to produce the best from the available pool of sportsmen and women. With this, Mr. President, my respected colleagues, the establishment of the National Sports Commission will ensure us a rapid development. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, the organization of formal sports dated back to 1910 with the introduction of Empire Day competition, which was organized on inter-schools basis. The establishment of mission schools in different parts of Nigeria assisted in development of sports in that era. The involvement of government in sports dated back to 1962 with the establishment of the National Sports Council, which functioned under the Federal Ministry of Labor. This was later replaced by the National Sports Commission with the promulgation of Decree 34 of 1971. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, realizing the importance of sports government in 1975, upgraded the National Sports Commission to ministerial status and appointed a minister of cabinet rank to oversee its affairs in 1991. The National Sports Commission re-emerged with the proclamation of that year. This body, which became a parastatal under the Ministry of Youth and Sports and was mainly responsible for the administration of sports in country through the National Sports Association. In 1995, the National Sports Commission was scrapped and the Minister of Youth and Sports took over its functions. In 2007, the Ministry of Sports and Social Development was scrapped again. National Sports Commission was brought back. Recently, the National Sports Commission under this present administration has been scrapped yet again. The resultant effect of this scrapping was the poor preparation of the Nigerian contingents to Rio Olympic, resulting in shambolic display of our athletes in that tournament. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, this bill could not have come at better time than now to give legal backing to this important commission to help rejuvenate the Nigerian sports industry so as to make it become a serious business. This bill has no financial implication. The National Sports Commission has been off and on. The structure and everything it takes for its takeoff are available at the Ministry of Sports and Youth Development. I once again thank you for your kind attention and urge you all to support this bill for second reading. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Albert Basi Akpan.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished and colleague, Senator Albert Basi Akpan, Akwa Ibom Northeast. Mr. President, I rise to support the second reading of this important bill, and I wish to say that inconsistency is the bane of our national sports development. Mr. President, I'm aware that it is only through under the structure of the National Sports Commission that we can properly articulate a clearly defined roadmap that will make this country one of the sport giants in the world. Mr. President, if there's anything that unites a people, it is sports, not just football, sports generally. Because every area has its own comparative advantage over the other. But looking at it from the standpoint of our national discourse, Mr. President, today we have seen Nigerians taking citizenship across the world. Even the latest, Adesoya, who is doing so well in combat wrestling, he's based in New Zealand. So Nigerians are constantly seeking greener pastures abroad. But under a commission of this nature, Mr. President, I know that one thing is always certain. A minister for youth and sport will always see the commission as a contender. But that should not be the case. Because there is no way you set up a commission of this nature that will not be headed by the minister. So I want to say that I think it's time we call a spade a spade. And let us begin to look at those things that we can do that will enable us to leave a lasting legacy for future generations. Most Nigerians, I have a son who is taking after football. I want to play football for this country. So if we cannot guarantee a structure that will lead to a sustainable future, how can we then guarantee the future of our children? So I think, Mr. President, it's time for us as a country and as a people to do the right thing. I think history will be fair to you and will be fair to this National Assembly if the right thing gets done, and it gets done now. I so support, Mr. President. Thank you.
The new minority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I remain Senator I.D. Gyang from Plateau North, and for the purpose of today's sitting, the minority leader. Mr. President, I want to speak in support of this bill that is for the establishment of National Sports Commission, and to agree very strongly with the sponsor of the bill that this commission will be responsible for the administering, encouraging, and developing sports and games throughout Nigeria. I want to take a look at the other assignment that this commission will be doing, and that of maintaining our stadia and other sporting facilities. Mr. President, if you look at our national stadium here in Abuja and the ones that were built in Lagos and what has become of them, it all affected by our poor maintenance culture. And as a nation, we cannot be investing so much in facilities that are meant to promote sports and allow them to dilapidate. When we have an institution that will be positioned to devote its attention to the maintenance of critical national assets that are of sporting dimension, like the Commission, I think we should encourage that. I therefore support very strongly the reading of this bill at this point, and to also say that it will help us to institutionalize the professionalization of sport and sporting activities in our nation. So, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want other speakers to support that this bill be allowed to pass on second reading. Thank you.
The Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Ojo Zakalo from Abia North. In supporting this bill, I have to talk from experience. I was a member of National Sports Commission from 1991 to 1996. And it was only when there was that sports commission that this country made the headway in coming internationally. So there's a need to get back the National Sports Commission without being said. And also as a pillar of sports, both in Nigeria and Africa, I know the need internationally that all the countries are operating with National Sports Commission. Nobody goes for a Ministry of Sport because it's cumbersome to go back to the ministry. The process of getting our sportsmen and women when we went to the World Cup in 1994, it was only through the National Sports Commission that it was made, because my chairman then, I was member of the National Sports Commission, directly in charge of football. Because my chairman then, Sebastian Williams, may he so rest in peace, Chief S.B. Williams, we made sure that every equipment needed by the sportsmen and women were provided. So there's a need for country to go back to National Sports Commission. Without arguing it, it's not something to argue about. Ministry of Sports cannot handle sports directly. In a country like Nigeria, where we have men and women all over the world. We have a lot of Nigerians in the United States, a lot of Nigerians in the UK, a lot of Nigerians, because the sports administration is not uniform. Parallel to the United States, to New Zealand, to Australia, to anywhere you go, people are finding it difficult to operate. So I urge my colleagues and Mr. President to have a need to reconsider the decision in advising our executive to bring back National Sports Commission for the interest of sports. Even managing our stadium. Look at all the stadiums that are gone. Because having somebody which his duty is to go to the stadium every week, every day, those stadiums are rotting away because they're supposed to be income yielding, they're supposed to be used for all kinds of things, they're supposed to be sports, national school sports, local government sports, or not. It's only the National Sports Commission can call it a duty to make sure that we are focused on what sports should be. Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me this opportunity.
Senator Demi.
Mr. President, I rise to support all the prayers this bill is seeking. In doing so, Mr. President, I'll be speaking against the background of my exposure into sports. Senator Obina will attest to it that for a long time I was reporting sporting activities across the globe. I had the privilege of covering Olympic Games. I had the privilege of covering Commonwealth Games and so many other international competitions across continents. And I will tell you, Mr. President, that Nigeria is a nation that is endowed with men and women that can do far better than the achievement we have recorded in time past. But we actually lack the framework to harness and develop the potentials, God-given potentials. I want to commend my brother Obina for bringing this bill, because I think the time is now, more than ever before, to see how we can really see sports beyond just mere entertainment. Sport, Mr. President, is business. Sport is a weapon for diplomacy. Sport is one single human endeavor that can redeem the image of nations of the world. Mr. President, some 15 years ago, when you travel out of this country, you see you see foreigners asking you about the names of our stars, of our athletes. Today, it's no longer the same story. The other aspect that is complementary sport, for instance, Mr. President, is the other one, the Nollywood. I've heard people asking you about some of the stars there. But in terms of sportsmen and women, we are lacking now compared with what it was 15, 20 years ago. So this bill is seeking for the establishment of the National Sport Commission in such a manner that it's going to be focused in the development of sports. And like I said, sport is one industry that we must encourage. More so, Mr. President, we are faced with a large army of unemployed young men and women who could excel and become professionals in the field of sport and bring laurels and fame and money to our nation. I think, Mr. President, this bill, we definitely have the support of all of us, so that we can have sport as an industry, as a weapon of diplomacy. I recall that in some decades when Nigeria decided or threatened to pull out of some sports competitions, you see it affects all of the other countries in Africa tend to follow the trend of Nigeria, the position of Nigerian sport. So this commission is so important that we must give them the framework to operate, to develop men and young men and women, and the facilities. Today, Mr. President, you look at some of our stadia, they are now in a rotten state because nobody really cares to, there's no enabling law. The National Sport Commission needs to have an enabling law that will compel them to develop and manage the sporting facilities on one hand, and equally encourage sport competitions across the length and breadth of our nation, from this primary school level to the tertiary institution. I hope that, Mr. President, this bill will receive the support of all of us towards redeeming our image in the area of sport, and towards us as a nation appreciating that sport is more than entertainment. It is an industry.
Wa alaikum salam. Senator Geshambasi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Geshambasi, Cross River South. Mr. President, how do we make our nation a sporting nation? Right now, we have a lot of random sportsmen and women in various sports across Nigeria. But achieving those heights in sports, winning those gold medals, winning those sporting championships is a challenge for us in our country. So I think that a bill like this goes towards, or is a major piece of solving that problem. We know that in other countries, in the United States, in Jamaica, and so on, where they have continued to produce Olympic champions, for instance, there is a system in place. There's a system that has run in the United States, for instance, for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And that system continues to produce gold medalists. In our country, we have a problem with a system that continues to produce champions. When I was growing up in secondary school, there was a system for producing Nigerian academicals, state academicals. There was the Principal's Cup and so on. This was a system that produced footballers. Today, we don't have those systems. Even for athletes, we don't have that system. So I want to commend the mover of this motion that this bringing back the National Sports Commission that has a major plank of organizing sports development in this country is something that we should all support. And I want to support it fully for second reading, because it is this type of organization that we need in our sports in this country. Nigerians have the inbuilt capacity. We have the genetic ability. We have everything. We have the physical ability. What we do not have and what we lack is the organization. And this bill goes to solve and cure that problem. And therefore, I want to urge all my colleagues in this chamber to support this bill for second reading and to support it wholeheartedly. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there anybody against the bill? I'll put the question. Those in favor that the bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate, Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the National Sports Commission to be charged with the responsibility of administering, encouraging, and developing sports and games throughout Nigeria and other incidental thereto, 2020, SB 2002, second reading.
a bill for an act to establish the National Sports Commission to be charged with the responsibility of administering, encouraging, and developing sports and games throughout Nigeria and other matters incidental there to 2020. Second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Sports to report back within 4 weeks. Let me commend our colleagues for the various contributions, and I agree completely that with over 200 million people, citizens of Nigeria, we have all the required and necessary raw materials to produce champions of the world. About 2 weeks ago, the ambassador of Jamaica paid me a courtesy call. I know what his gift to me, and I appreciate that very, very much, was a book on Usain Bolt. That was what he brought to me. Usain Bolt, by the way, was the indisputable champion of the 100-meter race for many years, both Olympics and other championships. And we can have several of them. We used to have Obanike, is it Obanike? Who was also the 100 meters champion, and many, many others. I think in addition to sports or diplomacy, it's also like the smart, our colleague Smart Ademi said, it's one way of engaging our youth. If we have our stadia functioning and you create the enabling environment, many of our youth will be going there in the evening or in the morning. And in the process, you get champions in the field of football, boxing. In fact, the history of many champions, boxing champions, trace them back to streets, so to speak, street fights and maybe some kind of difficult life. We don't have to misuse this kind of opportunity. We have everything that we need to produce the champions of the world. And those Nigerians who have decided to go outside, many of them are doing very, very well. Today, maybe the benefit we get is their remittances to their families. We want them to be truly Nigerian, so that when they come back, they also give the kind of, they become role models for young Nigerians to aspire to be like them. The basketball legend, Olujon, is it Olujon? The basketball legend of Rockets, used to come to Nigeria before when he was at the peak of his career. And young Nigerians aspire to be like him. We need this kind of thing to help utilize our human resources that we have. So I congratulate the sponsor of the motion, the bill, that we establish the National Sports Commission, and hope that we are able to get these raw materials, these Nigerians who are there, who have energy, that we can tap to produce national and international champions all over the place. Thank you, congratulations. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues. The sixth order of the day is the second reading of the University of Creative Arts and Studies, Orlu, Imo State, Establishment, etc. Bill 2020. This second reading was supposed to be read by distinguished Senator Roches Anai Okorocha, and in his absence, I would like to move a motion for this distinguished Senate to step down the second reading to another legislative day.
Minority Leader.
President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that the reading of this bill be stepped down to another legislative day. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that we stand down the consideration of this bill till another legislative day, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I think we have to commit the Sports Commission bill to a committee formally.
The The bill is referred to the Senate Committee on Sports to report back within 4 weeks. Where's the chairman? Okay. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The seventh order of the day, Mr. President, is the second reading of the Institute for Information and Communication Technology, Plenary, Gombe State Establishment Structure Bill 2020. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Thursday, 13 February 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Bulus Kilawans Amos to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Amos Kilawans Bulus.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator B.K. Amos. I represent the good people of Gombe South. I rise to lead the debate on a bill for the establishment of the Institute of Information and Communication Technology, Deliberation. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on this very important bill for the establishment of the Institute of Information and Communication Technology in Plenary, Gombe State. The bill was read for the first time in these hallowed chambers on 13 February 2020. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Institute, when established, will, among others, provide full-time and part-time courses in information and communication technology, engineering technology, applied sciences, management sciences, and other fields of study leading to the award of ordinary national diploma, higher national diploma, and certificate in specified programs. Provide facilities and encourage research in all its areas of focus to aid the development of Nigeria in the areas of industry, commerce, technology, and engineering, etc., etc. Arrange conferences, seminars, and study groups relevant to the field of learning specified in subsection 1A in this section. Perform such other functions which, in the opinion of the Institute, may serve to promote its objectives. Provide a well-developed and articulate technical education through constant research, development, and constant contact with renowned institutions and appropriate industries. Furthermore, the Institute will aim at fostering such values among its academia, undergraduates, and graduate scholars, and ensuring a place of pride for our teeming youth in the world of learning. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill further seeks to provide platforms for modeling, design, and control of processes and systems, create single and multi-objective optimization models, group decision-making models, desktop and web-based software system for information processing, optimization, and decision support. It will enable for research and studies to enhance modeling and optimization for automobile breakthroughs, renewable energy sources, and for night vision devices. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, the information communication technology is the trend best practice in the world over, and an institute specifically designated for this purpose should be a welcome development. In line with this, Order 77 sub 3 of the Senate Standing Order of 2015 as amended, a compendium of the financial implication of the establishment of the university is hereby attached. Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, and I urge you all to support this bill. I so submit. Thank you, sir.
Okay, distinguished Senator Binoziaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I rise to support the bill for the debate on the bill for the establishment of the Institution of Information and Communication Technology, Plenary, Gombe State, as moved by distinguished Senator Amos Bulus. In doing so, Mr. President, I want to take us a little back into history. When the first university was established in this country, University of Ibadan, it was cited in Ibadan. Subsequent universities were established in Zaria, in Lagos, in Nsukka, University of Nigeria, to tell us that there was a very the universities were being established to spread them across the country, even though then they were established by regional governments. But subsequently, we had universities that were set up, for example, like University of Bayero University Kano, University of Maiduguri, University of Benin, University of Port Harcourt, University of Calabar. The point I'm trying to make, Mr. President, is that the country intentionally distributed tertiary institutions across the country and did it in a fair manner. Mr. President, we have stated here that there's a need to focus our energies in new areas that will create jobs, that will provide employment, that will provide revenue for this country. And we have identified such areas to be agriculture, to be information technology, to be the solid mineral sector. Mr. President, if we are going to go into these areas, we need to have institutions that will provide manpower for these areas. Therefore, that is the sense in the institution that this bill is intended to set up. Information technology is the new area that we should look at. Mr. President, if we recall what my distinguished colleague Senator Barkia said yesterday, in setting up these institutions, we should spread them across the country. We should make sure that they are established in all the zones of the country. Yesterday, my distinguished colleague, Senator Ifeanyi Uba, moved for a second reading of a similar institution in Anambra State. So if we have one in the southeast, we should have one in the northeast, we should have one in the southwest, one in the northwest, etc., so that these institutions will be spread across the country. We should have schools of mining that are established in the various zones of the country, just as we have universities that are across the country. So, for this reason, Mr. President, I am supporting this bill, and I'm urging my colleagues to support it. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, is there anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Institute of Information and Communication Technology, Plenary, Gombe State, and for other matters connected therewith 2020, SB 313, second reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Institute of Information and Communication Technology, Plenary, Gombe State, and for other matters connected there with 2020 second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and third fund to report back within 4 weeks. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Before I call on the leader, let me also lend my voice to the support for this bill. We have to prepare our young ones for tomorrow, for today actually, and tomorrow. The world has gone digital, and we have to flow with that. We can't continue to be teaching what was designed about 100 years ago and expect that we'll catch up with modern economies. And the secret of the developed world, in most cases, is capacity development of their people. Resource development now is not looking for oil somewhere. It's building the capacity of the human beings that we have. Countries as small as Singapore control a lot of resources, and their GDPs are higher. And so we need to look at the areas that are relevant or more relevant today, and ICT is definitely one area that we need to focus. That is without prejudice to the other areas that we have been having, which are very classic and customary in most cases, history, geography, and so on. We still need them, but we have to produce people who will work for a 21st century economy that will add value, that will even be employable, because we produce so many people that at the end of the day, they even find it difficult to find work. So I will congratulate the mover, the sponsor of this bill, and the committee should work as quickly as possible to bring back the report in 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, in view of the mood of the Senate and the fact that many of our colleagues are out there attending public hearings on several bills that this distinguished chamber has assigned to them, I would like to move that the Senate suspends the consideration of all other items on our order paper to another legislative day. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in view of the mood of the chamber and on the motion moved by the leader, I second the motion ably moved. I so second. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that we stand down the consideration of the remaining items in the order paper till another legislative day, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, having concluded all the items from today's proceedings on the order paper, I hereby move that this Senate adjourns until Tuesday, 15 December 2020 at 10 a.m. prompt. I so move.
Minority Leader.
I so second.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do adjourn till Tuesday, 15th day of December 2020 at 10 a.m. prompt, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned till Tuesday, the 15th day of December 2020 at 10 a.m. prompt. Thank you.